Oftentimes, when you get consumed in this modern world, you start to think that in order to be considered well off, you have to make a six-figure income, have 7 different streams of income, and have a 7-figure net worth. And when you get consumed in this way of thinking, you stop living in a place that I like to call reality. For example, my dog Star. Star doesn't live in reality. Star likes to think that we can just play tug of war all day. But somebody's got to make the money around here, and from what I've seen, Star doesn't know how to make any money. Star just knows how to be cute. And that is why I keep her around, ladies and gentlemen. But many people get consumed in this exaggerated idea of what it means to be well off and start comparing where they are to the top 1% of our society. However, here in reality, the majority of people in our society are struggling financially. And when you compare yourself to that population, you realize you're a lot better off than you think you are. And so in this video, I want to invite you to reality and share 8 different signs that show that you are better off than most people financially. And the first sign is you fully fill up your gas tank every time. So I want to start this video off by telling you a story that a colleague told me at my past job. Before I was doing YouTube full-time, I worked at the CDC Foundation. And one day, I was casually talking to one of my nurse colleagues, and she was telling me about her career. And she started talking about a job she worked as a school nurse in a low-income school district. And she told me that for whatever reason, she would drive kids home. And she was telling me about this one time where she and a kid got in the car together. And the kid looked at her car dashboard and said, "Wow, I have never seen a gas tank full before at the F." You see, this kid was from a family that was struggling so much financially that they could only put $10 to $15 in their tank at a time because they never had the money to fill it up fully. And this 10-year-old kid recognized that her tank was full. A huge percentage of the United States population is struggling so much financially that they cannot afford to fully fill up their gas tank, but instead just put in what they have to get them by until the next time they get paid. I mean, next time you go to the gas station, before you fill up, take a look to see what the previous person spent. And if it's under $20, it's probably because they didn't have the money to fill it up all the way. And if it's under $10, that means the person is really struggling. I mean, the last time I went to the gas station, the previous person only put $5 in their tank. And that is a situation that many people are in the United States. And if you are able to fill up your gas tank fully every single time, you are better off financially than most people in this country. 2, you trust your car will get you to your destination. Now, some people hear this sign and say, "Agustin, what are you talking about?" And that is because some people are so fortunate that they have always had reliable cars that have always got them to their destination problem-free. However, other people, probably more than 50% of this country, gets in their car not knowing if it will get them to their destination. Many people get in their cars with this fear that smoke might come from their engine and they will be stranded on the highway. But they are struggling so much that they cannot afford to get whatever fixed, and so they continue driving it in fear. For most of the United States, you need a car to get around. You can't rely on public transportation. And sadly, many people are forced to drive cars that they don't trust in order to get places so they can make some money, often very little money. And if you have a reliable car, a nice enough car that gets you to your destination where you do not sit in the driver's seat worried that it is going to break down and cause you problems, then you are doing better than more than 50% of the population in this country. 3, you can properly insure yourself. Now, speaking of car problems, one problem my car currently has is that the gas gauge doesn't work, and so I never know how much gas is in the car. It's like $400 to $500 to get it fixed, and I just don't want to spend the money on that. And so how I keep track of my gas is record how much I drove since the last fill up. And once I reach a certain mileage, I will fill it up. Because, I'm fortunate enough to be able to fill it up all the way. However, 2 weeks ago, I overestimated how long a tank would last me, and I ended up running out of gas on the side of the road. And when this happened, I had a little panic attack because my AAA membership recently expired, so I couldn't rely on them bringing me gas. However, luckily I was in the city and the gas station was only a 10-minute walk away. And so I got the gas and continued on my way. But after that experience, the second I got home, I went straight to my computer and paid $130 to renew my AAA membership, and now I have peace of mind. Whenever something like that happens to you and you're not insured, you feel incredibly vulnerable. You feel very powerless. But being able to afford to properly insure yourself in all areas of life, whether that's through towing, car damage, home, or health, gives you more power in your life. It gives you more peace of mind. However, most people are struggling so much financially that they do not have enough money to properly insure themselves in all areas of their lives and never have the peace of mind that they'll be covered in their most vulnerable moments. But if you have the financial resources to properly insure yourself in all areas of your life, you are ahead of most people financially. 4, you don't have a car payment. Now, this is the final sign I'm going to mention about cars, but cars in the United States are just a huge part of our lives and cause many financial problems to many people. And a common indicator of wealth in this country is their car. And if someone drives a Mercedes, we assume that they have money. And if someone drives a beater car, we assume they are broke. However, this is a false indicator. Just because you drive a nice car doesn't mean you're well off, but what it indicates is simply that you drive a nice car. In reality, what indicates whether somebody is well off is how much they are paying for their car. And if that person driving a Mercedes has a $700 a month car payment and the person driving a beater car has their car paid off, then this person is much better off financially because creating a sustainable budget is much easier. The majority of the population, whether they drive an extremely nice car or just an okay car, have a car payment that is putting a strain on their finances. And if you have a paid off car, even if it's a beater, you are in the minority of the population and have much more money left over to create a sustainable budget. 5, you eat 3 meals a day. So as I said in the beginning of this video, many people don't live in reality, but instead live in imagination land where they think all these superficial indicators are what makes someone well off. However, here in reality, many people are barely making it. I mean, here in the wealthiest country on earth, many people are struggling to just put food on the table. I mean, according to the USDA, 1 in 5 kids are unsure where they'll get their next meal from. I mean, if you remember, during the pandemic, this was such a problem that school buses were delivering food to kids during remote learning because school lunch was their only real meal of the day. And also during the pandemic, 1 in 5 families turned to food banks to help feed their families. Being well off in the wealthiest country in the world does not mean having a 6-figure income, but it simply means knowing where your next meal is coming from. And if you have a full fridge and pantry and never worry about going hungry, you are better off than many people in this country. 6, you have a supportive family. So if you watch my channel frequently, you know that I lived in a small country in South America called Ecuador for 2 years. And the most fascinating difference between the United States and Ecuador is that in Ecuador, there was nearly zero homelessness, whereas in the United States, homelessness is a huge problem. I mean, and this is not an exaggeration, but in the 2 years of living in Ecuador, I only saw 2 homeless people. But here in Atlanta, I see 10 to 15 homeless people every day. Which is just so bizarre because the United States is a lot richer than Ecuador that you'd think there would be a lot more homelessness there. But the reason I think this is because in Ecuador, the family structure is extremely strong, where they support each other no matter what. Even if it means having 15 people live under one roof, nobody is homeless there. Whereas in the United States, the family structure is nowhere near as strong. We're much more individualistic. And families don't always support each other, which can cause homelessness. Families are really the glue that hold individual lives together, that provide emotional support, practical support, transitional support, a sense of community, health support, and sometimes even financial support. Everyone's family is dysfunctional, and we don't get to choose our families. But if you have a supportive family, even if they can't help you out financially, if they can support you in other areas of your life, you have something that most people do not have. You are better off than many people. 7. You can think clearly more than 51% of the time. When you don't have money, you can't afford the basic life necessities. It's hard to think straight, and when you can't think straight, it's hard to accomplish anything. I mean, imagine a single mother who is just trying to make ends meet. This level of financial insecurity makes it impossible to think clearly, where you end up making decisions that are wasteful, harmful, and prevent you from making progress. It's impossible to do anything when you can't think clearly and you're just trying to put food on the table. But if you have some level of financial security that allows you to think clearly, you're able to make better financial decisions and take steps to get ahead. Whether or not you have money, life is hard and we're all just fighting our own battles. But if you have enough financial security that you're able to think clearly more than 51% of the time, I would say that you are better off than most people, because most people are just walking balls of stress and anxiety, wondering if they're going to be able to make it to the next month. Now, the final sign is you don't need nice things to be happy. Many people feel behind, not because of the lack of income, but because they think they need nice things in order to be happy. They need a CrossFit membership in order to be inspired to be healthy. They need expensive hobbies in order to get out of the house. And they need a 6-figure income to feel as if they have worth in this world. They have extremely high expectations, and these high expectations make them live in imagination land, where they fail to see how much money they have and instead feel behind. However, as the late and great Charlie Munger once said, the secret to happiness is to lower your expectations. If you live your life believing that you need a 6-figure income in order to be happy, you'll never be happy. If you live your life believing that you need a bunch of fancy possessions to be happy, you will never be happy. But if you lower your expectations and enjoy the simple things in life, like taking a walk in the park, reading a book you got from the library, and enjoying a cup of coffee at home, you will be the happiest person in the world. As the saying goes, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. And if you live your life enjoying the simple things, instead of just comparing yourself to other people, you will be better off than most people in this world, because you probably already are. And with that, muchas gracias, que tengan un buen día, nos vemos, chicos.